Okay, everybody. So, welcome to the, I'm not sure how many years we've been doing this, probably something like 8. 8 years we've been doing SK Awards, and we've got a pretty tight, we've got a cool schedule. It's getting more professional. We've got Andy involved now, so it's pretty slick. So I'll run through that. I'll run through the schedule in a minute. But what I'd like to do is so I've got a 5-minute welcome. So I'll just say, every year I love this night. You get all the good sorts in a room, mountain wisdom. There's a lot of experience. There's loads of young people that have got bags of mountain experience. And what they're doing is encouraging the youth of, the next generation to get involved in the wilderness. And we've already seen that. I've note young Charlie there. Saw him. He's come today. He's 17. He did the first 17-year-old SKV. So I just think doing these things encourages the next group of people. And it's always there's a benchmark set, and once the benchmark's set, then people often seek to attain the same level, and they realise they can achieve these things. So it's in concept, it's adventure. The SK, and I just wanted to have a picture of my good friend, all of our good friend Chris Swallow, up there. So just a quick brief thing on Chris. He came out from England, from Yorkshire, and I don't know about why Yorkshire people are all so hardcore, but they tend to be hardcore, and us Essex types are kind of a bit not as hardcore. But Chris came out, and what happened was he heard of this guy called Colin Rolfe, who'd done the length of the SK main range in sub 24, and I reckon he'd done above ground round, but I know that Colin inspired him, and I know that listening to Colin, that the initial SK people inspired Colin, like the Gary Goldsworthys and the Wellingtonians steeped in who took on the SK as a challenge to get down that main range in 48 hours. So what I'm saying is that every person that achieves something great, it just passes on that concept to the next group. So I know Chris had a vision for the SK. He wanted to kind of make it as a thing like the Bob Graham round where we formalise it. So we've got tonight, he wanted the certificates, sub 24 main range certificates, which we've got to hand out tonight. And he wanted to just encourage others to take up the challenge, because he realised that if we formalise these things and we set out this major challenge, because it is a serious challenge, that others will follow. And it's testament to the fact we're here now, many years later, with so many people having achieved something formidable in the mountains. So first of all, I want to welcome everyone who's made the effort to come here tonight, and there's going to be platters coming out. We put in $20 at the front, some of you, or so who's going to help themselves to the platters, so they'll come out. So just help yourself when it comes out. I'll go through the schedule. So to go back to Chris, I don't know if you guys know, but his main passion was motorbike riding. We lost Chris in the Isle of Man TT, but I wanted to have him up there because every time I'm here, I always think of Chris and his gregarious nature and his amazing ability to inspire. And I think that's what these evenings are doing now. If we can continue that, we'll just inspire other people to achieve what they probably didn't realise they were capable of. So that's Chris Swallow. Now, so I'll go through the schedule. Actually, I don't want to go, I'm already going to blowing my 5-minute slot there. Chris, 5-minute welcome, I've done that. So we're going to have the awesome Tararua S-K film next for 25 minutes. Now, I don't know if you know, if any of you guys haven't seen it, but it's a pretty awesome film. Andy did an amazing job with his director, compatriot. Amazing movie, captures the whole vibe, the spirit of the people involved, which is the key to any great documentary. And it also captured the epicness of the range. Then we have at 8:30, Tim will do the film awards for 5 minutes. At 8:35 we'll have the main range certificates handouts. We've got 5 new members to that, the main range, where you get a certificate for doing the main range SK in sub 24 hours, which is the holy grail essentially of the SK. So that's at 8:35. At 8:50 we'll have and always forgive me for my pronunciation, the Patupaiarehe Award, aka Tararua Mountain Award, to be handed out at 8:50. That's the award for something that's been done in the mountain in Tararua range that's far exceeds anyone's understanding, or just blows people away in terms of its magnitude. And there's always something epic during the year that someone's done. We all remember the Michael Stewart triple SK back-to-back. He was one of the winners of this award, so that's the kind of level we're getting up to now. At 9:05 we'll have the power combo. These two guys, Jono Armstrong and Brent and Varty, have blown the scene away. They came in guns blazing. They're going to be talking about their awesome year, and if we all had just a fraction of their energy, we'd all be halfway up a mountain every weekend. They're amazing. I'll do my brief chat on the Mount Tapanuku mission we did last New Year's Eve. That was amazing. I just want to share the stoke on that one. I'm still buzzing on that one. That was an amazing mission. So I'll do a quick snapshot of that. Then we've got the awesome Gene Beaumont at 9:25, the Craigburn round. 9:35, Andy will do his awesome aspiring mountaineering expedition. And then finally we'll finish at 9:45. So we've got an agenda now. That's pretty slick, isn't it? So next we'll hand over to Andy to do the SK movie. So we've got a 25-minute movie now. So enjoy.
Yeah.
Challenging yourself in a wild environment where you're guaranteed to face hardship is not everyone's cup of tea.
Right back in the early days of the SK, I think the challenge was to complete it in a weekend and never to be back in the office on Monday morning in whatever shape the range had spat you out in.
I couldn't believe there was this wild adventure on my doorstep.
People that didn't really know the lay of the land said, oh, but Dingle's done it in 18 hours. But Dingle did the Dingle route.
It was wonderful, and we were pretty wrecked when we got back to work the next day.
She's stirring up a lot of emotions in me.
We had a scary cold night, being hissed at by possums. I'd completely lost the mental will to continue pushing through the hardship.
Takes me back to being 5 years old, and it's the day before Christmas. You know, the next morning you're going to wake up and go into this environment that you love and cherish and enjoy, and have another adventure.
How would I sum up an SK? Transcendent.
I wonder if we could get some lights up the front. Awesome. I imagine there's probably a few sites that are familiar to most people in this room that you saw up there. And I'd just like to go back to the closing question in that room. And and say I'd probably ask Jono and Brendan what their next adventure is, but I'm a little bit scared to find out, and they might be keeping it to themselves. So I wonder if I could get Andy and Hans up the front here with me. Hey, fellas. So, I guess when Andy first talked to me about the idea of this movie, and when he talked to other people, I imagine some of us probably had visions of a YouTube type clip, a longer YouTube clip in our minds, but what Andy and Hans have created is anything but what I had in my mind. It was mind-blowing when I first saw it. So we when we headed out on the S-K filming trip, it was pretty cool. It was a way of approaching this route that up until then for me I'd had a 24-hour limit to get it done in, and so it was pretty special to actually approach it the way that the old trampers, the early pioneers approached the main range, and do it as a weekend challenge. We even visited the train station in Masterton, where we would have then caught a taxi from had it been the old, although I think it used to go to Ekirahuna, didn't it? But no, it was pretty cool. But we captured a whole lot of raw footage, and I mean really raw. and so I guess I'd like to thank these guys for pulling what we had together and putting it into the story, our story. Like everyone in this room has contributed to the history of the SK. And I think it's really magic that we've got something that we can share with the world. And on that note, it was incredible when I first found out from Andy that the movie, which had travelled to the Toronto Documentary Feature and Short Film Festival, had taken out the spot of the winner of the best human interest film, and then also to hear the audience's reaction to the film and the fact that this resonated in a country on the other side of the world, the stories that we've written, and the stories that Hans and Andy crafted into this magic film. It was amazing, and so I'd just like to thank both of you so much from the Wellington mountain running community. Andy, thank you for inviting me on board. And Hans, that work that you've done on the film, it's just, something special. Thank you. Cool. I wonder if either of you got the same thing?
Sure, I could say a few words. Just want to say to Andy, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have worked with him on this film. It's been one of the highlights of my work in filmmaking, and it was a really truly special experience to be involved in and helping work with Andy and using this. It was very inspiring, and every time I go driving up around the Company Coast now, Weston or up the Wairarapa, and I see the Tararua, I always point them out to Caspian and say, hey, look, it's the Tararua. We found a couple of our own little adventures in there, but we still need to get up for the guts of it yet. that I'm really inspired to do some after him, him the Golden Elizabeth. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and thank you very much.
So I just want to say a huge thank you. There are a tremendous number of people in this room who got behind the idea and made it something way better than I ever imagined. So thank you all for your contribution. Thank you, Hans, for taking it to a whole new level. And big thank you to my family who supported me and who are here tonight. So it's really appreciate it. It's been an amazing, it's been really cool adventure in the card. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, it's awesome. It's such a good community. I didn't expect it to be so good and to, just be able to come along and have chats with anyone so easily, and everyone's just so willing to share their adventures or advice, and it's just really encouraging. There's absolutely no ego around it. It's just, a cool group of people that love adventuring.
Adventurous at heart, mountaineers, ultra runners, people that love the wilderness.
It's all about the glory. Complete one of the 3 routes in one push. Buy yourself a t-shirt and get an invite to the awards event. Complete the main range S-K in under 24 hours and join the exclusive Main Range Club. Do all 3 routes in under 24 hours and win a pretend space in the dusty road end car park of glory. Do 2 SKs back to back, or the 1500s, and get a koru engraved on the Patupaiarehe award.
The Patupaiarehe were mythical Māori mountain spirits. A lot of mountain runners tend to disappear off into the mist, and so it seemed a fitting name. I carry the same design on my skin. The 4 korus represent mum and dad, me and my brother. My family is where I draw a lot of my strength. I have carved a koru in for each recipient. We lost our friend Swallow. He has inspired so many of us to challenge ourselves, to push further, faster, higher. We've got a swallow on the shaft. This is actually the same design that he wore on his motorbike jacket.
So this is the bit that's all about, it's not just about this, but for me, it's a recap of the stats of the year to just show how things have progressed in the world of SKs. So as we all know, there are 3 types of SKs. There's the SK main range, which is the holy grail. It's like the Bob Graham equivalent, the 24-hour club. It's not to be messed with. It's not for humans. It's not, it is. It's for athletes, I would say, combined with wilderness experience, combined with grit, combined with a whole range of attributes that would be required to get to the end in sub 24. We have the Tarn SK, which is the Graham Dingle route. One of our most famous mountaineers who did the Tarn SK. That is a beautiful route. I've done that over 2 days. For me, I'm not sure what the word is out on the difficulty level of those 2 SKs. I think marginally, I don't know, people that have done it Tarn and main range would have to say, but I'd say it's a little bit under in terms of brutality. And then, I don't know, would anyone like to hazard a guess? Would you say 80%? I don't know, that's brutal, but they're all brutal in their own way.
The valley softens the part.
I don't know. The valleys, the valleys at the end, whereas the main range just relentless. Yeah, I just take my hats off to anyone that's done a main range, given that I've done it in 2 days and a bit, and then I just curled up into fetal position, and it's so hard. And then then we have the S-K Valleys, which I consider the S-K for mere mortals, or the people who are just fit with grit and determination can make it. It's something I like about it, because it's something that can kick someone off on a 24-hour challenge, because 24-hour challenges are something beyond what you do in normal day-to-day life. 24 hours is a number. When you've actually done it, you realise you just can keep going and going, and then it's night. We got to a hut when I did it, and the girl said, "Are you running through the night?" I said, "Yes." It was 11 o'clock, and she said, "Do you enjoy it?" And I went, "Not really."
That is good.
But it was cool, because I was running through the night and everyone else is in bed. I don't know, it's something of magic. And I know that it is capturing people's imaginations, because there's now 105 people that have done an S-K Valleys. And it's just inspiring to see people take up a challenge that they know you can do it. You can go down that route, but you can bail quite easily. There's a lot of exits, there's huts, so it's sort of a stepping stone to a 24-hour challenge. So that's the third route. But in summary, what I'll do now is quickly just go through the stats of the year, and I'll finish off with the main range and the certificate handout. So I'll start off on the valleys. But this is just like the last season. We like to call them seasons here, and the season's never over, as we all know now, especially when Jonathan and Brendan's involved. I hope you've stopped for the air, not doing anything later tonight, not being dropped off. So 85, the Dutch speed ice skater Gerson van Ginkel from Amsterdam, he did it. 1945, 85, 86, Brendan and Jonathan chucked in a cheeky 15:26. 88 and 89 was Martin Scouse Racing Greeth from Liverpool, and Alex Pudsley and Bramley Jones in 1915. 90, Peter Mitchell. He lives down in Queenstown. He's from Wellington though, 1652. 91 was Callum Mallet from Wellington, 1730. 92 was Matt O'Reilly from Wellington, 1742. 93 is a lady that's coined the phrase "bush is boring," but she was in bush that day. Olivia Lawrence, 1822. 94, Hamish Merrick, YBSR, he's obviously in the Wairarapa, 1549. Kelly Davenport, the Machine, 1449. 96, Northern Islands, Mary McBride, 2010. Matt Henderson, Naki Hardcore. I think he did a Black Ops trying to get through the valleys, but we spotted him, Mary? And Mary borrowed his shoe, which was handy. 1930, or a spare shoe. Yeah, actually bought them off her May. 98, Damien Stillbaker, 2044 from Wellington. 99, and my good friend Carolyn O'Neill, 2211 from Greytown. 100 was me. 2211, I say I'm from Essex. I'm also from Wellington, but that's why I find it very hard. Or if I was from Yorkshire, it would be fine, but because I'm from Essex, we're more kins going down the pub and partying a bit more. But that didn't come easy, by the way. That was my fourth attempt. It's flipping hard. Anyway, I just say that, but it's just something awesome. When you get to that car park of glory, you've got to do it. All the pain is worth it. It's just a magic feeling. 101, and I'd like, Charlie, can you stand up, mate? 17 years old, Charlie Rapp, 1745. When Charlie said he was going to have a go, I thought, you're having a laugh, mate. How old are you, 17? Have you got your PLB? Are you going to be all right? Are you going to be all right? And I did a bit of investigation to you and going, has he done the stuff? And they went, yeah, he's fine. And it just proves to me that young people are tough, you know. And I think it's really inspiring to see young people show how tough they are and resourceful they are at a young age. So good on you, mate. Inspiring. 102, Brendan Varty from Masterton. He did a SKV reverse in 1437. So that was the SK Valleys. Then moving up to the Tarns, which is pretty epic. We had 33rd Tarn S-K, 34th Tarn S-K, Sean Martin from Wellington and Joe Murphy from Wellington in 22:57, I believe. Oh no, sorry, it was 23:57, wasn't it, Sean? Mate, did we see your Strava? We need to have that audited. That is phenomenal to be that close. Still counts. 24 plus doesn't count. We all know that now. 35th is the legendary. 35th and 36th. I think we all know these people by now, because actually Jonathan and Brendan, you're making it hard to do the admin of these. This website. It's like, have they done this one? Yeah, they've done that. Done that one? The reverse. Yeah. But it's Jonathan Armstrong, Northern Ireland, and proudly Northern Irish, along with Mary, 1945. And 36 is from Masterton, Brendan Varty, and I'm not sure, and he did it in 1721. It's flying. Oh, it's the FKT as well. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about Brendan. That's amazing. Don't know if you know about Brendan, but he's more, his world generally is in mixed martial arts, and as I understand it, he's like quite high up in the world of mixed martial arts, so he's used to fighting at a very high level, and now he's obviously fallen in love with the punishment that the Tararua can inflict on him, so it's probably a different kind of thing, but it's great to have you, mate, in this world of wilderness suffering. So you've been a great addition, both of you, to this SK route. And 37th was Olivia Lawrence in 2105 from Wellington, and also I know Olivia's a good friend of mine. She's had struggling really badly with her body, her hips, her knees injuries, but she won't let that stop her. So she just threw in her fastest known time of 2105. Legend. So that's 37 now down the Tarn SK. We have new additions to the SK main range, all 3 SKs and under 24. We call that the premium status. So the last one on the list was Jean in 2022 to have done all, so SK Valleys, SK Tarn, SK main range, all in sub 24. Now we've got Jonathan and Brendan have joined that club. Oh, 3 more minutes. Okay, I'm going to speed along. Stuart, Michael, John in 2024. So that's pretty amazing. I reckon that's awesome as well. And we've got Brendan's done all 4 SKs, including the Carkeek. So let's get on to the main thing. The 5 certificates for the main range are as this. And I'd like you to come up, get your certificate, and when you've taken it, stand over here and we'll get a photo of you, because this is really what the guts of the evening's about. So can I have Jonathan Armstrong, Northern Ireland, come up please and get your certificate in 22:57. Well done, mate. And there's your certificate. Yeah. So stand to the side, yep. So, yep, Jonathan is Relentless. We all know Jonathan now. And he's just become a father. So awesome, mate. Well done. The next person up is the 35th sub 24 main range SK is Brendan Varty from Masterton. They did it as a pair, also 22:57. Well done, mate. You're a machine. And here's your certificate. These certificates are like the Bob Graham rounds. They've been designed the same style as per Chris Swallow's vision. So they're small, but they're glorious. 2024, this guy pops up and smashed it. I've never met him before tonight, but as I understand it, he's an American who settled in New Zealand, but he's obviously superemo fit. 37th is Jim Murphy in 21:52. Come up. Well done, mate. Cheers. And we have. All right, sorry, I just. Sorry, I missed out the. Before Jim was 36th. He smashes out UTMBs. He's always in the hills. He's a quiet achiever, but he's as hard as nails. Stuart Michaeljohn, 23.16. Well done, mate. Well, so many people. Sometimes we only have one. I think last year was just Aaron. But this is just so impressive. It just shows how it's growing in popularity. Everyone knows this lady. She's just, if she races, she wins. She's an absolute beast. Ali Wilson and the new female FKT. 21.42. 21.42. Well done. So let's get a photo of these guys, and then got to get the photo of them together, and then we'll hand over to the next person.
Spray.
Spotlight.
Like, you better share. It was iron.
This is very formal this year. I've got.
So his first time was
And great. That's awesome. Well done, guys. Okay, so that wraps up the certificates, and the next on the agenda is Tim, I think I understand it, to be handing out the Patupaiarehe award.
Got one,
Carl, is he? Carl.
I am praising them. Defense.
So you chuck that on your tea. Oh, yep.
And yes, it's a pocket.
Sweet. Is this working?
Yes, on left.
Cool.
So I was lucky enough last year to have been awarded this, which Tim described earlier. It's the Patupaiarehe Award for Extraordinary Human Endeavour in the Tararua Range. And this year is a rather exceptional year. We have 4 recipients. There will be 2 of them spoken to later on in the evening, so I'm going to cover the other one. Someone who's spent, I think I added it up just before, like 310 or 316 hours last year in the Tararuas, just in the SKs. He had 13 attempts on the SK, 11 successes. The 2 failures were mostly me being scared of the bad weather. And more than half of those efforts were involving family or friends. He took his own son down the valleys, which embodies the ethos and the inclusivity of the SK, and I'm really proud to present this to the custodian for the next year, Joe Murphy.
This is his. Wow, thank you. To make some shot. Thank you, Kai.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about yesterday, I actually think we're all crazy. Yeah. But I suppose joining this quite a reason we are own crazy too, right? It's pretty incredible. I feel really privileged to have the opportunity to go and experience this, and so many people that want to say thank you to, probably all of you for that. Congratulations to all you guys, and this is here who went and stashed out Main Ridge, and it's amazing. The big thing for me was the inspiration that I get from going and sharing these trips with my friends. And Kyle, we had a couple last year, Andy and Tim, and that was really a highlight of an adventure for me. My 2 heroes in adventure. I was a bit daunted before we started, thinking maybe I won't be able to keep up with these guys. But we had an epic
Julia, right? It was 2.5 days of good times with friends, just sharing the enjoyment of the Tararua. So for me, that's what going on an adventure embodies, is having fun and sharing it. Thank you.
And I did mention that there's 4 quarters going on this year. One is obviously Joe, and that is for just 11 SKs in a year, is sort of speaks for itself, and the way you went about it. And there was 2 other quarters which are for Jonathan and Brendan. A similar accomplishment, just relentless in the way you went about just knocking off SK after SK after SK. And although it was a different approach to Joe, it was equally impressive and totally deserved on this. And okay, sorry. And the final quarter for the year is similar to the quarter for last year for Derek Field, as a lifetime achievement sort of recognition, and that is for Brent Harrison, who we are very lucky to still have with us after a rather harrowing ordeal. A few days out in the ranges with probably not a lot to look after himself with. So yeah, we're really proud to still have him here, and for all the work he's done in the ranges over his lifetime, putting together the Southern Crossing race, and yeah, just thank you for helping create the community. Yeah. Tim, did you have... Okay.
Well done. Thank you, man.
Did you want this?
Martin probably won't stand up if I did. Yeah,
Joe's a very hard act to follow, but thankfully for Brent, he came a long time before Joe and a long time before many of the people in this room. So I'd like to welcome Brent along tonight. His brother Dean is here, and Brent's good friends Mike and Malcolm, and Dave Hicks is with us too. And some of the older members of the group will know those characters. So there were 2 things that sort of brought to mind recognizing Brent tonight. One was the ordeal he went through in the hills this year, and that was 2 weeks before the Tararua mountain race, which Andy brought back after a hiatus. And in fact, not all of you may know this, but Brent was the first race director. It was his idea to start the race, and Malcolm, who's with him, with Brent and Malcolm's wife, were the first people to run a recce of it ahead of it. And Brent actually has with him in his satchel tonight the original entry forms, with Malcolm running across the tops in a very Colin Rolfe looking setup from 1990. So I think right now I'd like to hand over to Mike, who's got a few words to say, also a TMR race director for many years, about Brent's involvement in the community, the Wellington mountain running and adventuring community. And after that, Malcolm has some incredible looking slides of the adventures that he shared with Brent.
Thanks, Dan. My name's Mike. I'm a recovering mountain runner. It's 1,363 days since my last mountain run. I'm blaming Brent Harrison for getting me into it. I worked for him at Mainly Tramping back in the early 80s. And when there were no customers around, we often talked about running, tramping, endeavours, what we get out to in our spare times. I know you guys won't remember it, but we used to keep records on paper back in our day. And I grabbed three things out of my file, my running file, my mountain hunting file, and just which typified Brent and his contribution to the outdoor community. And the first one was just a mainly tramping advertisement in a University Tramping Club magazine from 1986. And anyone that was into tramping back in those days knew Brent, and Brent knew them. He knew just about everyone in the tramping community and the outdoor community. And he went out of his way to support clubs, individuals, to get out there and adventure. The second one, of course, is the one that Dan alluded to, which was I've still got it here, the results from the inaugural race, the 1990 Tararua mountain race. And a few characters here, a couple of characters here anyway that I know that did it. So Malcolm, I see your results down there. Derek Field, so last year's recipient, he was in that initial race. So this was Brent's baby. He got it together. He had the gumption and put his neck on the line to actually organise the race. And I'm sure Andy will support me. Somewhat it's a nervous endeavour as race director. You're stressed the whole time, worried about all the runners that are out there. Are they going to make it? You know, who's going to come up? Who's going to get out, I suppose. Brent, he kicked that off. He got that going with not as much support as we have now. And as a result of that, where it got to was Brent sort of forwarded the support for search and rescue. So you actually got some of your money back from search and rescue over there. But many tens of thousands of dollars from the Tararua mountain race have actually supported search and rescue over the years. That's where all the funds have gone. And the last thing that I pulled out of my records was the mainly tramping summer hutbaggers Rogaine. This was quite a lot later, actually. This was 2007, so towards the end of the mainly tramping era. Again, anything that was going on in the outdoors, Brent was happy to support. So this was a 4-day Rogaine and to hutbag all the huts in the Tararuas, which Ross Bidmead actually organised. And it was inspired actually by an event that we ran in the University Tramping Club back in 1981, which was trying to visit all the huts in the Tararuas in one weekend. And I don't know if you'd noticed, but the university club, is anyone here from the University Tramping Club? No. They tried to do again this year actually, to visit all the huts in the Tararuas in one weekend, and I think they missed out on Carkeek and Dorset. I think that would be a great challenge for the Big Sunday Run group to sort of try and get to all the huts in the Tararuas in one weekend. So Brent, thank you for your huge support of the outdoor community in my running career over the last 40 years. Thank you, Brian.
You're gone. And son, face in.
Okay, well, my name's Malcolm, and for my sins, I've known Brent for 35 years or more, and my brief tonight is to talk about 35 years of adventuring with Brent in 10 minutes max. So I hope you'll forgive me if I just pick out some of the good bits, some of the funny bits, and some of the bits that nearly left me permanently damaged. We became acquainted through Brent owning mainly tramping. He and I had a habit of finishing within a couple of seconds of one another in all sorts of half marathons, triathlons, and what have you in Wellington. So we kind of knew of each other, and we were pretty fiercely competitive. I had a job in town in an office. Brent was running the shop, and I'd go into the shop and have a yarn with him every so often, and we'd have these conversations that started off, if it was me, I'd be saying something to Brent like, I just read this article about a couple of Australians who went kayaking in Patagonia. It looks pretty cool. And Brent would say something like, I had a guy in the shop here just last week. He was talking about going kayaking in Prince William Sound, Alaska. What do you reckon? And to his credit and to my credit, we never said no. And we ended up doing all sorts of stuff. One of the early things that we did is we went to Patagonia. This is in Tierra del Fuego, which is off the southern tip of South America. And we decided back in 1996 that this would be a bit of a lark. And one of the problems that we came up with was the fact that we had to get kayaks somehow. There are virtually no people there, let alone someone who's going to rent you a kayak. And back in those days, the beast of burden in the skies, the long-haul flights were all done by Boeing 747s. And we were lucky to find out that there's a space between the containers and the bulkhead where you can fit a kayak on top of the containers. And then Aerolíneas Argentinas told us that they could take our kayaks for us at no cost, 30 kilograms of kayak, 5 meters long, 4 of them, no problem, sports equipment. I think the sports equipment rule was devised to allow people to take a hockey stick rather than a 30 kilogram plastic kayak. So better still, when the jets flew back from Buenos Aires to Auckland, they came via a little place called Rio Gallegos, which is about the southernmost city, bar Ushuaia, in Argentina. So the plane would come down there, refuel, and then back to Auckland. So we went Auckland, Buenos Aires, Rio Gallegos, jumped off, and went kayaking and caught the plane back for the last leg. It was brilliant. So we had no excuses. We'd solved the big problem the way we went. And I think Colin referred to the fact that everybody knows, or at that stage, everybody who's into the outdoors knew Brent. You get on the Cook Strait Ferry and you'd spend the whole trip. He'd be talking to his friends or customers. And it was no surprise to us that Brent knew somebody who worked in Port Veneer, a New Zealander who ran a gold mining operation, and he could provide transport for us from Port Veneer to where we wanted to go kayaking. So Brent's contacts spread well beyond the country. So we had a bit of a false start, and we had a bit of a weather issue that pinned us down on the beach for a couple of days, but we got across the Straits of Magellan, and once we got there were these massive ice cliffs, and you saw some of the photographs there of paddling through the ice. We had about 3 weeks kayaking. We saw just very few people, just a few fishermen who were very generous in giving us tin crabs and things like that. So that was great, and we thought, well, this is good fun. Let's do something a bit warmer. So we went to Baja, California in Mexico, and the Sea of Cortez. Totally different. Sonora Desert meets the sea. The desert is spiny, dry, and there's no shade, hot as hell. But the sea, the opposite, absolutely crammed full of life. There were whales, there were schools of fish that took probably about 40 minutes to paddle across, 2 kilometres of fish, all hemmed into the shore, pelicans going nuts, diving for them. Totally different experience. So we just got sort of keen on this. One of if we go to the next slide, I think we might see this is the Columbia Glacier in Alaska. I think it's one of the biggest glaciers in North America. And it had this massive ice field, about 10 kilometres of ice pouring off the glacier. And it's all sitting in the high tides. Every time the tide goes out, all the ice would be stranded, and you could kind of walk amongst these blocks of ice, and then overnight, or when the next tide comes in, it would all float away and it would all disappear down the fjord and be replaced by another lot. Quite a remarkable place, but it's actually retreating very quickly. This here is the Barry Glacier. This is something which you might, in many years' time, think, I remember that guy telling me about the Barrier Glacier, because one of these days it's going to hit the news. That entire face of scree is moving down at about 10 metres a year. It got up to about, I think, 30 metres a year about 2 years ago. Apparently it has slowed right down, but what's going to happen is it's going to just, if it could go in a catastrophic slide, and that will basically create a tsunami which will probably destroy the city of Valdez. Well, it's not really a city by our standards, but it's a town. So it's a disaster waiting to happen. This photo was taken back in 2004, and my intention last year when I went back there was to go back there, but they won't let you go. The US Coast Guard says it's not safe. The US Geological Survey says it could be the generator of one of the biggest tsunamis that we've ever seen in living history. So that's the Barrier Glacier. Remember it, because one day you might turn the radio on and find it's happened. So people don't go there anymore. At least, you know, like you can't get a boat to take you there. This is just another shot of glacier with all the dead trees are a result of the earthquake in 1964, which just about took everything out too. So this is Queen Charlotte Islands, Haida Gwaii, which is north of Vancouver Island. Just another place we went to. That's a place called Burnaby Cove, Brent paddling along, and that's one of the most biodiverse marine environments, and the Canadians are very, very proud of it. So, wow. That's a thing called New Eddystone Rock. Eddystone Lighthouse, of course, is, I think, the lighthouse at Portsmouth. That's named by George Vancouver, and we camped on that thing, and about 190 years, almost to the day after George Vancouver had a picnic on it. It would look like a really good place to camp. There were disadvantages though, because it's the only kind of, it's a piece of forest which is on a rock, so no predators. So all the crows and all the seagulls and all the eagles for miles around all roost on that thing at night time, and they make one hell of a din. It wasn't much sleep, was it, Brent? So one of the things, if you've never heard about Brent's culinary skills, it's no accident. This is Brent looking very proud of his scone. He offered to make us a scone. This is down in on Stewart Island, Rakiura, and we thought, oh, Brent's going to make scones. He made one. It was about 25 centimetres in diameter and about 4 inches thick, but it did taste like a scone. And the other thing that springs to mind, Brent made us a cup of tea with salt water, which I do not recommend. Anyway, one of the things that I had, this is to talk about Brent's adventures, and I looked up the word adventure. I always thought that the word adventure is often overused. I googled ultimate adventure, and you should try this. It's quite informative. You can do an ultimate adventure in New Zealand by paying a helicopter to take you from Kaikoura up onto the mountain, and you get 2 stops, and then you go back, and that's the ultimate adventure. So if you look at a few dictionaries to see what is adventure, And you get a bit of variation, but there are three things really. One is it should be unusual. Secondly, it should bring with it an uncertainty of outcome. In other words, it's got to have an element of risk about it. And the third thing, which I've worked out, what is the third thing? It's here somewhere. You should be able to tell me. You will do it. It's exciting. Here we are. It is uncertain of outcome and it's unusual. Now, I think what you guys do, if you put your running shoes on and head off into the Tararua with a minimum of clothing and an absolute very calculated minimum of clothing and food, that's got to be adventure. And I think what Brent and I have done over the years has had an element of adventure. When we went to Terra del Fuego, there were no PLBs, no mobile phones, there's no rescue there were no people there for 500 kilometres. And I think those sorts of things, you can use them now, but they needn't take away a sense of adventure. If you go and run an S-K, you could roll an ankle, you could break an ankle, and suddenly you have found that element of risk and you have succumbed in part to the luck component, which you just cannot actually control. So good on you people for doing that. I think it's an amazing thing to be here. I'm really, really quite impressed by all the things you guys do, and I'm in awe of all of you. So Brent and me, that's one of my favourite photos of us together. That's on Pazo John Garner in Torres del Paine National Park in Chile. We've had some good times, and I think Brent's a really worthy winner of that award. So well done, Brent, and thank you very much.
Well done, they did it. Thank you, Wright and Malcolm. And friend, this is for you. This is a photo that Tim Sutton took. I won't tell you where it is. You might be able to figure it out yourself. It's in the Tararuas. And Dean, maybe I can pass this to you. So I think you're able to take it, Dean. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm sure he'll figure out where it is. And a coral engraved on the Patupaiarehe taima as well. Thanks, Brent. Thank you.
What's up, viewers? My name is Emma. Actually here tonight representing Greater Wellington because Kira shop when I live down south. But also on FMC Executive Council. And just what you were saying before about you're going to all the huts thing at Victoria University, you had a pretty good attempt just recently. FMC is actually running a positive project, and we're trying to get more appreciation for our huts and tracks from New Zealand. So we're calling that Love Your Huts, Love Our Huts, and you guys are going to just have a bit of a sneak preview. So last couple of weeks of November, we aim to have every single hut in New Zealand visited within those 2 weeks. So just something to think about and have on your radar. If you guys were going to organise something to that sort of effect, last couple of weeks in November would be fantastic. But we're just going to drum up some really real appreciation and love for our public huts and tracks, and maybe get a little bit more funding and help for those so we can retain them on the future for our takes. So that was just.
Thank you very much.
You're enjoying travelling?
Yeah.
Start thing.
All right, hey team. So this is just a quick summary. I'm really glad to know just of myself and Brendan's just S-K assaults through the year. Some of them we did together, and some of them we went on our own as well. So we'll include all of them. Start off with, who wants to tell Michael Stewart that he missed one? Carkeek's the route now, you know, get it done. And now I know why Varty is so fast. All right, quick introduction, how I came to the SKs. To my love for the mountains and stuff, I worked in Kaitoke on the rebuild for the earthquakes for 3 years before moving to the North Island. So moved to Wellington 3 years ago. And just seen on stuff. Through Covers, a woman and her partner did all the huts in the 1500s, I think, in a year. So I just wanted to copycat it. And then, a few months, September, October, November went past, and I thought I could actually do this in 6 months. So I got them all done. And I met Chris at a hut at Tarn Ridge around November, December time, and he told me about BSR and the S-K. And just before we go into all the slides, last year I couldn't even do a sub 20-hour Valleys. I did a 30-hour Tarn, and I had a DNF with Grant, Mark Bassetti, and Joe Murphy. So I have came a long way inside a year. So just note that in your head whenever you go through everything I've done this year. So hopefully I've inspired a few people to improve their times as well. And then this year, obviously, got into the SKs, and I tried to get all 8 done in a year. Fell slightly short, but you'll see later on. So that's my introduction.
So for those who don't know, I'm Brent and Varty. My road to the Hurt Locker is quite a short one, really. As Chris alluded to, I used to be a Muay Thai fighter. That career was cut short when I had a quad bike accident back in 2014. And getting kicked in a leg that's had a fair amount of trauma is not a good idea. So that brought my kickboxing career to an end. And I probably laid stagnant for a while. I still trained at the gym, but didn't really have anything to push me along. And so midway through 2022, a friend of mine asked if I'd like to do the GOAT adventure race with him. Never heard of it, but I said, yeah, why not? I'll do that. And I think it was about June, then November rolled around, and I thought I'd better start training, because the GOAT was in January. And I hadn't done any running really since giving up fighting back in 2014. So I got into it, started off with a few road runs, bought myself a pair of trail running shoes around the middle of November, and began looking for places to do some training. And funnily enough, and this is long before I'd heard of the S-K, but funnily enough, my first ever trail run was at Carruthers Road into Roaring Stag Hut on the 20th of November 2022. I'll never forget that. I had these brand new pair of trail running shoes on. I remember getting to the hut and looking at them, they're just covered in mud. I'm thinking, wow, what a way to break in a pair of shoes. But anyway, I got back to the car park, and I didn't really know what had just happened, because I've never experienced anything like it, not having done a trail run before. But it didn't frighten me off trail running. The next day I did Artie Whakatu return. 2 days after that I did POW, and then on the 1st of December 2022 I did my first trip around the Jumbo Holdsworth circuit. And it didn't take long, probably 2 weeks. I was thinking to myself, I've lived in the Wairarapa all my life, 35 years of my life, and I've not once been in the Tararua. And then all of a sudden I was in love with it. And probably fair to say I've been making up for those first 35 years of not being in there in the past 6 months, as you'll see. 2023-year-old guy, did the GOAT, did a few other races throughout the year. Early on in the year, I think I heard of the S-K. Obviously, talking to a few people, didn't even know I was doing some trail running. They told me about the S-K, and I just remember being blown away by the stats: 80k, 7,000 meters climbing. Wow, I just thought, how can anybody do such a thing? And then August rolls around, and I got Andy's film, watched it, and that was me. I was just fascinated by it. My wife will tell you I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I was watching TV, I was watching the S-K film. And then anyway, this photo here, out only undulated November 4th, Martini was doing his race briefing. I put up next to this fella here. I think we talked about each other's watches, pointed out old mate's pack in front of us that didn't look like it had any of the compulsory gear in it. And then went, we did the Aorangi Undulator, had a good yarn on the grass afterwards and agreed that we'd catch up at some point for a mission over the State Highway 2 side of the range. A week later, it all begins.
Right, so yeah, that was 4th of November. I planned a Tarn redemption from the year previous. And yeah, I forgot to mention, actually, I've been reading this book, Muhammad Ali, because he's one of the best boxers of all time, if not the greatest. And he got knocked down and beat twice in his career, and he came back and redeemed himself. So it was kind of like my story this year. Tarn knocked me out, and so did Main Range. But, you know, I got them in the end this year, so I redeemed, and more. So yeah, I'm just about finished that book, but yeah, kind of inspired me a bit during my journey this year. Alright, okay, Tarn, yep, a week later. So this was the thriller in Tarnilla. So if anyone knows the fight of Muhammad Ali thriller in Manila, so kind of got a ring to it. Yeah, so I got a car swap with Maciej. Yeah, Polish guy who agreed to my car swap. Yeah, pretty much he kind of taught me all my bluntness and SKs. If you're doing them as a team, you need to kind of be blunt with each other, what you want to achieve. So he was doing a main range. Didn't go to plan because of water in the huts, if anyone remembers that earlier in the season. But we ran the first 6 hours, and Maciej was just with me for the first 6 hours. I remember saying that before every climb, if I piss, you piss. We need to lose body weight before the climb. And just every little, up and down, Maciej. I'm like, I don't need to go. And he's just like, no, you go. So I remember that. And then the build up to already where we split, the last half an hour, he was trying to convince me, you've got a main range and you come on, join me. But yeah, I never changed my route anymore than planned. I knew what the main range was like from the previous year, and my mind was set on a Tarn. Yeah, so I got it done through Holdsworth. I was, had a lot of motivation. That was a very busy day. And yeah, like I say, last year I did the Tarn in 29:45 exactly. So exactly 10 hours knocked off my time. The Tarn this year.
Johnny, you've got 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make it quick. Valleys, this was, would be 3.5 weeks after Jono did his Tarn. Yeah, I was just obviously inspired by my new mate just doing a top 5 time in the Tarn, and I flicked him a message saying, how long do you think it'll take us to do Valleys if you were to do it leading up to your main range? And he come up with 16 hours. I said, let's do it. And yeah, 2nd of December, 12.5 months after I went for my first trail run at Putara, we were back there, but this time for my first SK. And yeah, I won't get into too many details because as Andy says, we've got 2 minutes, but yeah, I think the highlight's probably swimming in the Ruamahanga, literally swimming up to our neck. And just that feeling of glory, my first taste of glory. I thought so many times that day, why would anybody do this? And then when we arrived at COG, all my questions were answered. Just loved it, and clearly that will satisfy me, and we were back at it.
Yes. All right, this is the big one. Yep, the main range, 27th to 28th of December. Yep, you were going to speak about Alpha.
John never really asked me to go along with him on this one. I think I just told him I was. And yeah, we were back there, back at Putara, less than 4 weeks after the Valleys, and we were into it. We started at 11 o'clock at night, 11 p.m. So we were in the darkness, somewhere between Armstrong and track. We were going all right to Armstrong, got to track, we were slightly behind on our splits. Got to Nichols, slightly further behind. Anderson's a little bit more behind. Aquaparangi, further behind. Kime, even further behind, and that's when we sort of started thinking, this isn't going to happen for us. Got to Mount Hector. I think shortly after Mount Hector, we put a call through to our partners and sort of told them we're doing all right. but and we're going to get out, but it's not going to be sub 24, so don't expect the same quite as early as we told you. And then Brad must have seen that I was online on Facebook and sent these messages and sort of backed up what I was thinking all day, because although Johnny was telling me we're behind on my splits, I was doing the math all day thinking, oh, no, I'm sure we're still in this. And Brad's message sort of backed up what I was thinking. I asked Brad, as you can see here, what's the best case scenario from Alpha on cook legs? He said 5 hours, and then I think later on he said 4, and that's what we needed to do it at 4. And I'm thinking, people doing the Tararua mountain race can run here at 2.5, how can we not do it in 4, going slightly downhill even though we're on cook legs? And yeah, so we get to Alpha Hut, we've got 4 hours up our sleeve. Now, John O'Scott.
Yeah, I just remember approaching Alpha Hut and it was clear, there was clouds, and you could see like Merchant Ridge, it was like kind of downhill, and I'm just thinking in my mind, Brendan's going to have a word with me here at Alpha Hut when I'm refilling my water. We see. And no doubt I'm filling up with water. I'm like an absolute zombie. I've got nothing left, so I'm just going to wall my way out. And, Joe, sub 24, not achievable. But then, Brendan shook it out of me. He cracked the whip the whole way down Merchant Ridge. I don't know how. I was just letting myself fall and just fall the whole way down the hill. And then, whenever Brendan knew it was safe, there was about 2k left, and he felt sick. He said, we can chill off the pace now. And I'm like, what did you put me through this last 4 hours? And now you're saying, let's take the foot off the gas. But so from worrying about a sub 24, we beat it over an hour in the end with a really fast split from Alpha. So we dug deep to get it done. That's us at the end with the Jameson, the COG. I'll be fast on these next ones. But the Carkeek route, only Tim had made it onto the website at this stage, so I call it Tim Sutton route. He made it official. So there is 4K SK routes now. So the 12th to the 13th of January, it's actually my favourite one, because it's got a bit of everything, like steep down and up, rivers, everything, and then a fast finish as well. One thing to remember from my Carkeek is I was in the dark, it was claggy, and around Lancaster's a kind of dodgy area, so I wasted about 45 minutes trying to, find my way, because I couldn't see a thing. I was relying fully on my Garmin. I remember actually Brendan being awake. Don't know why he was awake. I shared my dog with him, but it was about 2 in the morning, and he said, "Oh, you all right, champ? You're heading the wrong way." And I'm like, thinking in my head, "What are you doing up here?" So he was so fascinated on how I was going, and he joined me for the Holsworth section. In between Jumbo and Tatara, and that's just me at the COG 21:35.
Smashed it. Tarn S-K, 6th of February. The race to KFC. Jono was going to do his first KS. I was doing my first solo mission in the range, obviously via the Tarn route. We'd jump in each other's cars at the finish, and being at KFC. So that was the race to KFC. Pretty much the closest thing I've had in the Tararua to having a perfect day. My legs were with me all the way, and my mind was pretty much with me all the way until Smith Creek, where I went a little bit haywire and went off track. And I was like 20-25 minutes ahead of splits at Cone. I got to Puffer, and I'd lost all my advantage I had on splits, which meant I had to bomb down to the COG to match or better Tim's long-standing FKT on that route. But no, I really enjoyed Tarns. It's a good day.
Just so everyone knows, the FKT's been held since 2016. I think it's on the website, so that's 8 years. And Brendan's beat it, and that's a sign Born to Run book by Tim Sutton. Just to commemorate and remember it forever. Valleys KS 16 the 17th of February. So I kind of done a night shift. I was sort of 12 hours in the dark. Just really, it was kind of a tick box exercise. I wanted to go for Iridium in one season. So I did have 13 hours, but just in the dark through valleys. It's still going, especially between Fakatu and Kaitoke. It's just hard to get any pace. And I kind of hobbled the last 4 hours out along the Ruamahanga. And I went down Cleft Creek, which I'll never do again. Carkeek KS, so 16th to 17th of March. This is probably the deepest I've done to get an SK of the year done, sub 24. I was lying in bed, you know, just talking myself out of it. I was expecting my first child at the time, and I wanted to at least try and get all 8 done in one season. And if I didn't get this done before the baby was born, I wouldn't be having one shot to get all 8 in one season after. This was kind of 4 seasons in one day. That's what the kind of photos represent. Between Paul and the descent to McGregor, it was a race to get into the tree line because it was so windy. That's this photo here. And then, Carkeek. Kind of made a disaster around Park Forks. I think I liked the place so much that I wanted to stick around for a while. So that cost me a bit of time. Just the magic of being at Carkeek right in the centre of the range as well. Just sneaked in 23, 21 to get it done. To set me up with hopefully a shot at Iridium in one season.
You were doing...
I do. Yeah, so this is this was my shot at Iridium, but Brendan joined me. I'll let him say about his worry and injuries and that leading up to it. He didn't know whether he was going to join me, but the week before this as well, I think Ali Wilson was out and everyone else was out. You know, it was an absolute beautiful weekend. And I thought I'd lost my opportunity because I was still too early after the baby was born to ask Vicky for permission. So I thought, I'm probably going to lose my chance here because it's getting too dark and, all that's getting colder, harder, all of that. This is it. If nobody knows, that's where I ended up trying to get it. Again, we were falling further and further behind the splits. Vert was a struggle for me. I had a few weeks break in between the last SK and this one. Just vert and the thin air and my asthma. I've had childhood asthma, but this was the first kind of attack I'd had in over 10 years. So it was pretty scary stuff. And we got to Already Hut, and I'll let Brendan finish with the remainder of the mission.
Like we talked about early on in our SK main range, I had to begin my motivational speeches at Alpha. This particular day I had to begin them a whole lot earlier because we were really down behind, and I could tell Jono's tide was waning. But it quickly became obvious around track that this just wasn't going to happen. Jono actually told me to carry on at track without him. So glad I didn't. All the way to Armstrong, you could tell his health was in a bad way, and I sort of suggested hitting the PLV earlier. But being the stubborn bugger he didn't want me to. But then, when we hit Armstrong and he started complaining of the tightness of the chest, and that, left me with no other option but to hit the PLV. And it wasn't a great way for John at the end of the season, but I witnessed him fight to the very end. And he certainly didn't quit that day. He was unfortunately caught to his knees by a health-related problem. But it just goes to show if you start as a team, finish as a team, there's no way I was leaving my brother up there. And glory's a good feeling, but I would I'd much rather be a good mate than have got that glory that day. So that's thank you.
Right. So sets up another redemption next season as well for myself. Hopefully me and Brendan will get Iridium together. Your Valleys.
Yeah, Valleys. A week later, a week on from Jono being in hospital there. Pretty impromptu actually. Young Charlie Ruck put out a call on the BSR page for a ride to Putara. I offered to pick him up from the Masterton train station and take him to Putara. And then I thought, why? I'm feeling pretty good actually. Why not tick off my first KS? I said, do you drive? Are you old enough to drive? He said, no, I can drive. He said, oh, well. I said, we'll stay at my place. I'll drive your car back to Kaitoke. You drive mine to Putara. And we'll swap keys somewhere along the way. Thankfully, he suggested taking spares because I don't know what he was up to, but he was off track somewhere between Adi Whakasu and Maita, and we didn't actually cross paths that day. But anyway, that was a cool trip, just to shake the demons of I think both John and I expect, as we are a team, to get it done a week later. And I thought that was going to be finish the year on a high. I really enjoyed sunrise at the Wahine and then sunset in the Ruamahanga there. It was it's cool trip. And then another couple of weeks after that, I was feeling good. Yeah, real good actually. And the weather forecast was pretty good. So I thought, why not end the season on a real high? And I decided to go deep, as deep as you can pretty much go, and attempt Carkeek. And boy, my glad I did. It was a real special day and a real awesome way to round out the season. Like Jono said, the Carkeek's just got everything. It's got open tops running, it's got goblin forest, it's got river travel. She's a special race. Come up with a good one, Tim. Thank you. And really encourage other people to get into it, have a crack.
Yeah, we'll just rattle through this. So this was just me and Brendan. Went just 10 tips for a fast SK based on our year. Yeah, just if you're in a team pursuit, be blunt with each other. As if Mac taught me in my first SK this year. Don't use huts as an excuse to stop. You see a hut, you want to stop for 10 minutes, keep delaying. If you can, obviously sometimes you have to, but if you can go to the next little water refilling stop that's right crossing the path, that helps. Pack your bag and know where your gear is. Easy access for snacks, get them on the go, and then reshuffle your whole pack, as few times as possible. Only focus on the next checkpoint. So if you're starting at Patara, don't think of Kaitoke in the first 10 minutes. Break it up, Hirapai, Dundas, or Etsy, just focus on the next, few hours ahead of you. If you think of quitting, think about why you started. Speaks for itself really at that point. Work to your strengths. So, as a team, Brendan's the vert man, while I'm maybe got the edge on the downs and the flats. Just who takes the lead and stuff like that. Timings are a big factor if you want to attack in the daylight. So plan when you actually leave as well. So like I done Lancaster and Carkeek, I told in the dark. From Lancaster to Carkeek in the dark, I advised Brendan not to, just based on, my experience there. It's pretty dodgy steep section in the dark, especially if there's clag as well.
That's 2 points yours.
My three at the bottom there. Set yourself an extremely challenging yet achievable goal time. Lock it in your mind, train hard towards it and go get it. It's no use setting yourself the goal of breaking Dan Jones's Valleys time. You've got to be realistic, and that way you're not going to set yourself up for disappointment. Try not to get too despondent if you're getting behind on splits. As long as the mind is willing, you'll be surprised how strong you can finish it. Basically, just our main range to a T. We would get despondent. We thought we were done, but then the old mind took over, and honestly, my legs were the freshest they'd ever been running along Motion Bridge that day. And then went in a team, cheer each other along with motivational quotes. Here's a few of my favourites that I used for Jono. I won't say them. We've got some young people like Charlie in the room. But cheer each other along. How bad do you want it? 24:01 doesn't count. And you always remember it's not over until the fat lady sings.
Summary, what's next? The bucket list grows quicker and then it gets ticked off with seeing everybody else's missions on the page and that. Someone goes to a waterfall or a bit of the Tararuas that I haven't been, I add it to my notes on my phone and I'm going to get there. So that's one point inside. I don't think either of us want to give too much away. We've got planned next year, but Iridium's on the cards. 2 more Galacticals chasing Iridium Gory, perched in this room with Tim Sutton. So that's part of what we want to achieve next year. And our mission hasn't ended. Brilliant to meet each other. It's only just begun. I think this is the last. So this is what we've got planned. Obviously, we're in the good weather window, so there's a rematch. Only I'm doing the easy way this time, the SK, and Brendan's going to take off Tarn with the KS. So it would be good to get another couple of matchups, just, a bit of friendly banter, racing each other, passing in the middle. So if anyone, obviously find someone with a similar pace to you to make it more interesting. Get in touch with us if you're, I'm looking ride share up to, the Tower or the CMG or whatever. So yeah, 6 starts, let's make it happen. It's time to spot the top and walk the walk. Don't watch the dog, be the dog. Thanks, guys.
I'm going to say 30 more seconds, it's all right. As I said earlier, I hadn't even heard of the S-K 18 months ago. When I did learn of it, I was just blown away. Somebody told me when I first watched Andy's film that 9 or 10 months later, I would have done 5 and be the co-recipient of the Patupaiarehe award. I'd tell them they were balmy. So for anybody who, you don't need to start at 18 or 20 to be a mountain runner. I started when I was 35 years old. So yeah, it is possible to pick up a hobby, not later on in life, but say during your middle life and have a real initiative. So I want to thank all the mountain running legends, Tararua mountain running legends that have gone before me and all the inspiration that I've got from you guys. And yeah, thanks to this fellow here, because I do believe I would have done an SK if I hadn't met him, but no way would have I done 5. So thank you. Thanks all for everything.